Welcome to another unauthorized and fuel treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Queen Raae. Jeg peker på mamma. And
Mamma er jo der.
Nei, ser du det?
Hæ?
And
The Pirate Princess experiencing the flipness of cameras. And the...
rolig da. I'm your host, Olavia.
Okay.
And today's task is something image CDN.
Yes.
I can
So
read it. You say it.
on last week's show, we scraped my Crowdcast profile for webinars so we could source that information into that Gatsby Data Layer. And today we are gonna handle the cover images of each of these webinars. So since last time I done a little trick of how I'm going to show you on how I got the URL for the images, but we don't want to use the images directly. We want to handle the images also through the Gatsby data layer. So today Ola's going to show us how we can do that with the Gatsby CDN. And then next week we will be doing create remote image node for those who don't want to activate Gatsby CDN, image CDN. So let me start with sharing my screen. And can you send her down to get her activities?
Did you say why?
Yes. So why is the same as last time? Okay. Lilla, du var stille. The why is the same as the last time. So instead of having to copy paste all the information from my Crowdcast page or profile, we want to get all of that information automatically so that we don't have to keep on copy pasting and changing if things have changed. So for instance, if I upload a new cover image on a webinar, past or future, I would like that change to reflect in my Gatsby site by sourcing that data into the Gatsby data layer. So that I'm going to make her very small soon so everyone can this is how it is running a little family business. So I'm going to bump up my font and I'm going to try to explain with some more visual examples. So let's head on over to the Crowdcast page. So what we managed to do last week when we learned about web scraping from the co-founder of ScrapingBee, Pierre, we learned how to open up this page through ScrapingBee and scrape out the data. And we got all of these events into our Gatsby data layer, but we only got the titles and the links to the paid registration page. But today we also want to get this image. And if you inspect the image, you'll see that it's not that simple because it's not actually an image. It's a background style that is set on a div, on a hero div.
Yes.
So what we added inside of Crowdcast is when we use ScrapingBee, we can give them some extraction rules. So we said, look for the selector event tile, which is the whole kind of square here, the event tile. And then we say, look inside that and make that a list because we want all of them. And then inside of there, look for the event tile and make that our title. And then look for an H tag and make that our path and get that information from the attribute href. And then I have added now, go look at the hero div or go look at the tag with the class name hero, and then extract whatever is in the style attribute and add that to our style as a style field. And then if we run this, we could see how that looks, because what we do after we, scrape Crowdcast, we create a new Crowdcast node for Crowdcast webinar node for each of the scraped webinars. So let's run that and see what we got to work with, because what we want to do today is take that image URL and use that with the Gatsby image CDN. So what I kind of quickly jumped over is that what we get here is the whole style tag with that background image, and then the URL inside of there and some other things. So what we do is that we use a little bit of regex and extract only the cover image source from all of that string. So where I always go to test these things out, because I cannot write regex on my own, I go to this webpage, regexer, and I just test my way there. So you can put in a test here. So I took the string that we are getting back here from the style. I put that in here, and then I just started playing around with the regex until I only got this only got this image URL. So you can see that Crowdcast is actually using a CDN themselves called image X under the hood. So that's kind of interesting, but we don't want to, because as soon as we source things into the data layer, we want it to stay the same. And we don't know what Crowdcast does from one build to another. So they might, change up their links, or we might not want to use this link directly because we don't control this link. So we don't want to be kind of beholden to them never changing their how they make their image URLs. So we don't want to use this URL. We want to pass it through Gatsby, either by downloading it as a local file, which we will do next week, or using the Gatsby CDN, which I think then source these images into their CDN on build time. Because one of the cool things about Gatsby is that you source everything into the Gatsby data layer on build time, and you will know, even for your deferred pages, that you have the data. Like the data will be the same as when you build. So if something goes down in one of these services that you're sourcing from, you don't have to think about that because you've sourced all the data on build. And as long as you keep that build, you have all the data you need. But if you're using external image URLs, you don't have a control over those external image URLs. And they might change, they might take down their servers, they might change address. And if that happens, you're at a loss. Okay, that was a soapbox. Question.
So I did parts of this stuff here yesterday with Jed Wood, and he asked me, okay, so where is the data layer stored? So I understand that whole thing with their own image CDN, but didn't they set up like some database kind of thing now that is new? Where is it?
Yes, so they I think exactly where it is in the file system, but it's a little database that they put all the data in, and that database is deployed together with all your static files. So then when you do the deferred pages, the deferred page creation can ask that little database for the data that it wants, and then all of the pages
in my website. Like in the code up there, or is it in some kind of secret database somewhere?
It's never loaded into your, like, the database is not loaded into your browser, but it's
but it's in my code that I have deployed to Netlify or something.
Yes. So when Netlify or Gatsby Cloud builds your site, they build out this little database, and then that database
is here.
Saved together with everything.
Scott. Sorry.
Hey!
Scott, why don't you say we? You always say we. Hello, Scott. Hello. Okay, Lillian says, are you ready for this, Scott? Lillian says, why do you love him so much? Vad tror du,
um
Daniela?
so I guess we can actually have a little bit of a look maybe in the cache. I don't know exactly know where they save this little data. Here, caches LMDB. So if you look
Yeah.
inside the cache, there it is, caches LMDB, there's your data.
Ooh.
That's the little database. And then all of the Gatsby queries, GraphQL queries, are run against this database.
Cache. Yes.
And then that
Yes.
cache is deployed together with all of your static sites or your static files.
Great. Thanks. I'll tell
But
Jed then. I
yeah,
promised him. I promised him to try to find out.
yeah. But I don't think so. But when you only kind of internal processes on Gatsby Cloud or Netlify have access to this database. Like it's not something that you can access from outside. You know,
Yes.
you can't browse to it in your browser. It's part of kind of what's
Yes.
you know,
Let's talk
on
about that
the
later.
yeah. And I don't know exactly how that works. I mean, we should have Vartan again and he can like explain this in detail, I guess. Anyway, so I did my little regex and I gotten the cover sources out like
No,
we
no, no, pues.
like a URL. So if we open that URL, we can see one of the images. So this is one of the images. But as I, and I made a little demo so that we are actually using those images directly, but we want to change this so that we use Gatsby image instead and render it through the Gatsby image CDN because as I said, we cannot trust external sources that we don't have control over for these images to always be there until the next build. So you are going to teach us how to do Gatsby image CDN support, Ula.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, it's done inside of onCreateNode.
You have to open the issue I sent you though, because um I have puzzles for you.
Ooh, oh, you want me to open it so everybody can see?
Yeah, Mel, maybe. At least you must see it. You must see it.
Okay.
It's mostly for you, but you know, you can you can look at it sometimes if there's something you want to show. And
Okay.
also, this is like the live test. This is like the live test. I've sent out an earlier version to George and John, Hansen artist, and Inesa, and to look through. But this is totally different. So this is like, but and also it's the live test. So I have my little book here.
Yes. So you make
a
up.
little book here, and I write up you when there is something that you think is confusing. I'll write it up.
Okay.
I'll write it up.
So you have a little bit of a acronym here for how to remember these, and it's G for Gatsby, and then it's Imago because it's not image, but it was Imago CDN.
Yeah.
Okay. So give me the G. What am I supposed to do for the first G?
Are you looking at the thing?
I'm looking at the thing, so let me write them up here so we can like do them. Okay, what is the G?
Let's 3 GIM first.
Yes.
GIM.
So the G is
GraphQL type Tubby, Squid, or Kraken. It's him. It's this little guy here. He is like the hero. He's the hero of our story. You can't do emojis?
I don't know. It didn't want to open my emoji thing. There it did.
Don't you use Rocket?
Oh, I should use Rocket. And then we are going to do I.
We can just start out with that.
No, but we were gonna write it up so that people can like follow the steps.
Let's write the 3 first then. I is inside. Yes! Yes! There you go!
Say it out loud.
Inside Tubby's home and home emoji or house.
Okay. House. And then it's M.
Must I add ... face parenthesis to Tubby Joker emoji?
Okay.
And then
so I must be honest and say that I have I don't understand what this means.
That's good because you're supposed to use it to remember after you've done the code.
Okay.
So
So
this is
here
for
I'm doing some GraphQL
remembering.
thing. Okay, let me know what I'm supposed to do here then for the GraphQL thing.
The first thing you're going to do is we're going to name our GraphQL type. So it's
Okay. So that will be that's the name for the image
type.
node?
Yeah,
Yeah,
type.
okay.
The type.
Mm-hmm.
Type.
Yep. So I want to call it Crowdcast cover.
And you have to have Tubby in there.
Crowdcast cover Tubby?
Yes, that's right. And the G should
Okay, let's
really
do
be
Crowdcast Tubby.
should be GraphQL type Tubby because that's
Okay. Okay, so
there
how
you
do
go.
I create the GraphQL type Tubby?
Yep. So now you maybe have to show this puzzle because now you're going to, instead of copying the whole code, you're going to puzzle it because I'm giving you the code in the wrong order. So you have to guess the right order.
Oh, so
Go.
you want me to stop copy pasting and actually
No,
understand how I'm supposed
no,
to do
no,
this?
you're not going to understand. Go up, go up. Yeah, okay, look at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see the go
Okay.
down, go down, go down, go down. You see the drawing here? I
Mm-hmm.
taken the code and tore it up like that in 4
Ah.
pieces. And the pieces are on the right here and in sticky notes, but you can go up and
Mm-hmm.
you should, so you need to find which one to copy, or you can start where you want, but I would recommend to try to find the one that is on top first, and then
So
you copy them up. If you go up, you can copy them. Yeah, go up, go up.
I'm pretty
Here,
sure
yeah,
that I am
yeah,
pretty sure that build object type is first.
yeah.
But
Do it.
even before that, I'm
No,
guessing because you're
no,
not
no,
saying that it's
no,
inside on
no.
create.
That's later.
I can't write invalid code, Ula.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. This is
Okay.
crazy.
This
Yes.
is crazy. Okay, so I think
Do
it's
it.
schema. I think it's schema.
Yes, you're
And
right. It's
then
Eva.
build. Maybe I learned these things now because I usually
Yes.
just copy paste, and then I need to close it because that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then inside of there, I need to have Tubby thumbnail. Oh, so that's why Tubby thumbnail. I like that. Okay, I'm having fun now. So name, and I think we add that inside of here.
Yes.
And I
Right.
wanted it to be Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail.
Yes.
Okay, I think I have all of it.
No. No, you don't.
Oh,
You
and
missed
then
it.
it's
You missed it.
interfaces.
Yes. You need that.
And is that inside together with the fields or is it
Yes.
outside? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. You did it. You did it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That
This is feeling all kinds of wrong for me because I want to put this code inside something.
That's
Are
next.
we doing that?
Yeah,
That's inside Tubby's home. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So inside Tubby home. So that would be so it's a question. Well, it's going to be in create schema customization.
Yeah, you don't want on create node.
Not for this part.
That's what you started writing before you started writing exports dot on create node.
Yeah, it's up here.
Look at that! Yes! Yeah, so it wasn't so bad of me to have that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's inside. Yeah, that's great.
So inside Tubby's home, we've done that.
Why did you remove the thing?
Actions?
You're gonna need them.
Well, I didn't even need them now, but okay, it's back on.
It's coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up next. Or maybe not next. Maybe I rearrange it. Sorry.
Okay, so we've checked, we've done the G, we've done the I, and then the M. Must I add phase to Tubby? Yes. Oh, so I need to add the remote polyfill.
But must you?
Well, not for this, not for now, because we're using a very late version of Gatsby. But I guess if we need to add this, if we want to be backwards compatible, if this was going to be a plugin, we would want to put that in.
So you don't really need it then.
I don't really need it for this demo because it's a demo, not a plugin. So I don't need to be backward compatible.
Don't add it then.
So we're not doing it?
No.
Okay.
You know why? So they actually changed the like this week or last week they changed the docs. So this whole thing that you see here with all the code, that's new. And they make this const here. Const add face to Toby type equals blah 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 the face. Yeah. But you need but you still need the actions. Yeah.
Yes. So we still need to create the type.
Yes.
No, because you do schema build object type. Oh, so I need to still
you must have the actions or else
Toby schema.
You don't yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then actions.
You can do that.
Create.
You can also just put it inside actions. That's what we did last time.
Okay, so we can take this whole thing and put it into create types. That's what you're saying?
Right? I'm pretty sure that is right.
I mean, that should work as well.
Yeah.
But does it have to be inside of a square bracket as an array, or can I just push one type?
I think you don't only need the array when you have several. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't.
So what we're doing here is that we are creating a type of name Crowdcast Toby thumbnail. Yes. And we're saying the interfaces are node and remote file, which means that when this is done, it should conform both to the standard node interface and also how a remote file should look like.
Yes.
Okay, what's our next step?
Okay, so now we have the 3 next steps.
Okay, I've done them. Ooh, yeah. I get to check them off. Yeah, I gotta make them bigger. I mean, this is to my heart. I love checking off lists.
Yeah, I know. That's why I made it. That's new for you. I didn't put it in the I didn't put it in the original. Yeah, there you go. You did it! You did great! 1/3 of the treasure hunt. Yeah. Okay,
this is a true treasure hunt. Okay.
Yeah. Next up.
Ego.
Ego.
Okay, I'm not going to write them here then, since we have them in here. Okay.
It's a go. You know, a go because we're going back in time later.
Oh.
But not in this story. This is just like, but yeah, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to create a asset node, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then G is for graphical, where we find the strawberry fields, and O is for onCreate dev. Okay.
Yeah.
Alice asset node. Alice asset node is a const. Goes inside. Okay, so I copy this and goes inside where? Well, now I think we're inside of onCreate node because we're going to create the asset node based on the URL from our webinar node.
Yes.
So I'm already inside there, and you are giving me these nice things that I can copy paste. We got our Gatsby utils, and we often need all of these things, the actions and the node and the create node ID. Okay. Delete ls asset node and use actions create. What did you say for delete for? What am I supposed to delete?
You're going to, yeah, that's very good. It's time code. 24.
Okay, so we are using actions create node, I'm pretty sure of, but I like to destructure it. Create node from actions. But now I might be jumping ahead of you, because what we are doing here is that we are creating a node for our Toby thumbnail that conforms to our remote file.
Yes.
So it should have a URL. I don't remember all of those things that it needs.
They're all here. They're coming up
now. Strawberry fields forever.
Yeah, that's right. So you can just copy this whole thing.
Well, we don't need to use this asset node then, but I'm going to use.
That's why it said delete.
Oh, because
But I time coded it. I thought it was unclear. Yeah, sorry about
okay.
that.
So let's copy paste this inside of
You can.
Action Create.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're doing here now is that we're saying we are fixing it on a height of 630 and width of 1200 because we need to tell it what size it is, and we're not getting any information back from Crowdcast about the size, but I know that all of these files are 630 by 1200, so we're just going to hard code that for
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
And then we need a URL, and that would be the URL for the thumbnail, Tubby thumbnail, and then the MIME type, and then we need the parent node ID. And I'm guessing you want me to fill in all of these. I'm gonna follow your thing.
Yes.
Yes, hump, hump, Wi-Fi C fields. Okay,
Yes.
so height. We've done height.
Yeah.
We've done this. So the URL would be. Let's have a look at our graphical.
Yes.
URL would be node cover source. Okay. URL. And then M is the MIME type. Is it JPEG? No. Is it JPEG?
No,
Let's have a look.
I just copy pasted from the YouTube thing.
Oh, okay. So hi, let's have a look at our image here to see if it's a JPEG or a PNG. Does it say?
I can't
Let's
see.
save it.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
we get to know. Oh, it's a PNG.
Good.
I don't know if we can guarantee that though, but we have to check that up later. And then the parent.
Yeah.
So we've done the media type, and then it's the parent, and the parent node will be the node. So that would be node ID. So Scott, if you're still here, if you want to tell us what you're working on these days, is it Svelte only?
He
And
went
then
to some
W,
conference.
and then W,
You already have it. Yeah.
yeah. And then I is the ID. So here we need to create a node ID. And what we already have, which is unique, is the cover source. It's the URL for the image. It will be unique for each cover image. So let's do node cover source as the input to create node ID. And then Gatsby will take care of making this unique across all Gatsby content nodes. All we have to do is make sure that it's unique within our our universe. Okay. And then F is the file name. What would be a good file name here then? Yeah, we could do the node ID, but yeah, let's do the node ID. So that would be the parent node. It has a unique ID, so we could use that and then add on PNG. That would be a good way to just name it. We could also kind of name it something from the URL, but that URL is so weird. Let's just use the node ID. And then internal,
Yes.
I guess they should just be the same because we don't need to change the create. We don't need to change this node. We only need to change this if the URL has changed, I guess. But actually, we need to change it if, I guess there would be a new URL if there was a new image. We'll have to think about that. But let's just say if the parent node hasn't changed, this doesn't need to change.
But what's it typed in?
Oh, so the type would be the Tubby, the Crowdcast, Tubby thumbnail. Because the type of this node we are creating needs to be the same as this schema or this type that we added. Let me copy paste that. Okay, and then we also want a reference back to the original kind of ID of the Crowdcast ID. And for that, I would actually use the node URL. I think, do I have URL as a Yes. So we have the URL for the Crowdcast event, and that could be a way to match the Crowdcast webinars with the Crowdcast tubby thumbnails. And it's always nice to have something that that will connect it back to kind of our world, which is the Crowdcast world. So that would be a node. And it was
But
URL, wasn't it?
But is that ID deterministic though? I can just make a Crowdcast event with the exact same URL, can't I?
No, it's, as you can see, it doesn't have my profile name in it, so it has to be unique across all of Crowdcast.
Nobody else can make Gatsby Gotchas react.
No, because then it would clash. Like then there would be two events. So you see Crowdcast IO and then the E for event, and then it's kind of like the slug for the event. So yeah, it has to be unique. And then if I change this in Crowdcast and do another build, it will, be sourced again. So that's the thing. Like since we are in static world, if I do changes to my Crowdcast profile, adding or changing up my webinars, I have to make sure that my my Gatsby sites rebuilds. But I think it's better to ask Gatsby to rebuild. Maybe I'll do that manually instead of having to copy paste all over the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
so I did all of them.
Yes. Yes.
So I would actually call it, well, that would be double E, but often I would refer to this as like an internal ID. So that would be like the ID inside of. So when we did YouTube, we called it YouTube ID, and here we call them Crowdcast IDs. But more generally, they're like an ID to go back to like our world from Gatsby world, map it back to our world.
You would have it inside internal?
No, but I would maybe call it like an internal ID or maybe a source ID. I don't know what we would call it, but I like to call it explicitly where we're sourcing from so that we have but if you wanted to make it more general, then it would maybe be a source ID, maybe. I would call it a source ID or something like that. Okay.
You can change it because it's got nothing don't change it. Okay.
So to me now, it seems like if we do another run, we should be seeing these thumbnails. I like to stop and have a look at what now shows up in our graphical explorer to see kind of where we're at. Oh, must be a string or number got undefined. Well, that's no good. So it's saying that node cover source. Oh, because I'm doing this on all nodes. We need to do this only on a Crowdcast webinars.
Ah, yes. I think we do that on the YouTube thing, actually.
Yeah. So if the node internal type is Crowdcast
we did that.
webinar, so you need to add that to your steps. Then we can do our thing. So we don't want to be making Crowdcast tubby thumbnails on, pages and files and everything else we're sourcing.
But what would you call this then? What you just did?
I would check to see, what would we call it? Like we are making sure we're only working on the correct nodes. But I don't have, was that a good enough way to say it? Yeah.
Sure we are. Only.
Oh, so Scott asked, who's Tubby?
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry, Scott.
I think maybe we've lost Scott, but if he ever sees this, we can make a little clip of it and send to him.
Here he is.
There is Tubby.
I tried to tell Lillian, yeah, it's a girl, and she's like, no, it's not. It's Tubby.
It's Tubby.
It's not a girl. Yeah. That's Tubby.
Mor sa det Toby ikke var en jente.
For du sa Toby ikke var en jente.
Ja, han en gutt.
Yeah. And where is it?
Okay, so let's have a look at the graphical now, we should see all Crowdcast Tubby thumbnails. And we have Gatsby image in there and everything.
Yes.
Oh, we need to do so now we can resize. So we can do width of 200, for instance, and we'll be able to use the Gatsby image component.
Oh, sorry. Look at this.
Look at what?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Oh, it is crashing. It is crashing. And that
Scott
might be
also
because
says-
we haven't done.
Scott says hello too. Yeah. And this is a long time ago. I'm sorry, I wasn't watching. I was looking at.
We've been coding.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Sorry.
I don't know what is happening right now. It might be because we haven't done the thing that is on our next step. Things are Oh, it crashed.
Yeah.
Yes. Something went wrong installing Sharp modules. Well, we haven't installed Sharp modules, so no wonder. That needs to be in the steps as well.
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. Okay, sorry. I'm too fast. But we got it to build, and we saw that we got all the nodes working.
Oh.
So then we can, I'm going to just like have it run in the background. And then we'll head on to your next step.
Yes. Oh, that's true.
Okay, so O is for on create dev, and is it on create dev server or on create dev service? I'm pretty sure it's on create dev server.
Yes. Yes.
Where should I put it? Let's put it down here at the bottom. And this is where we make it so that, but I don't think we need this either, because I think that's only if you don't do version 4. Because it's also a polyfill. So it's, if you don't do version 4, you need this. But since we're doing a demo and not a plugin, we don't need to be backwards compatible. So I think we might skip it.
Let's skip it.
But it's add polyfill image service dev routes and not add polypirated parrot interface. Even though I really do want to add polypirated parrot interface. That sounds so much more fun. Okay, we are 2/3 of the way done with the treasure hunt.
Yes.
But we haven't we created a node ID?
That's next. Now we're going to kind of do the dating and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, the dating between the two. Yes.
So Tubby is going. So we have Alice, the asset node that you just created, and then we have Tubby, the type, and now we're going to get him to date, blind date.
Okay. So I already created a node ID, so I've done that. And then there's a blind date.
So you already did that thing, so I shouldn't have it then?
Because you wanted me to do the create node. I've done all of them. So I created the node ID in the create node step.
But they are in that code there, aren't we like kind of saying, hey, I don't really know how that stuff works. So
yeah. So let's do it. So I created the node ID.
Yes.
So what we want to do now is connect our Crowdcast node with our Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail node.
Yes. So we don't need the C.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I think Tubby thumbnail is the asset node.
Tubby is the type.
Okay.
We create a type, and then Alice is the node.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not what we're connecting together.
What are we connecting together then?
We are connecting the Crowdcast webinar node with its Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail node.
Are we connecting the nodes?
Yes. So on create types now, we'll add another one. So we are creating the type that we already created. And then we need to create, we need to extend, I guess, the type for our Crowdcast. And we haven't created a type for Crowdcast. We've just let Gatsby kind of infer what's going to be in our Crowdcast webinar. We haven't really said what's supposed to be in there, but we can do that. So should we use the same? Let's do schema build object type for that as well, so it looks a little bit more right. So the name is Crowdcast webinar. And this is all the stuff we had from before. What's up? I've done something wrong. Done something wrong with my okay. No. Okay, let's go back. And then I will commit so that we have it. There are lots of moving parts with making this work.
Ja, ikke sant?
Okay, so let's Google build object types, because I don't know if I can create the fields with links when I'm doing build object type. So let's try again. We want to create more types. So we create another type. Here we use the schema build object type. Now we're just going to write it out as a string.
So I think what we did last time with YouTube is that we just used, or are you making it now? Is that making a type?
Yes, we're making the type now. But if you don't make them and explicitly state them, Gatsby will infer it from the data you give in. But we are not giving now, since we're not like giving in, we need to make the connection between the thumbnail and the Crowdcast webinar node. Because if we go into graphical now, if it's built, there's no connection between the two nodes.
So you're saying that we created the type, and then the node we created is actually also Tubby. Is that what you're saying?
If Tubby is a type, then all of the nodes in Gatsby has a type.
So then you create a type here now, which is Tubby. Which node is that?
So Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail will be all of the nodes that contain the information about the thumbnails.
Which is the one we just made.
Which are the ones we just made.
So it's not Alice at all.
No, so the Crowdcast webinars are the ones we made last week. And now we're going to connect the Crowdcast Tubby thumbnails to its Crowdcast webinar.
Lillian is practicing for our national day when we have this national song. Ikke sant, Lillian? Du synger Ja, vi elsker.
Jeg kan hele første verset.
Ja, ikke syng nå da. Okay, so I have to do something with Alice, and Alice got to go.
She might have to.
But we are going to date, so who is Tubby going to date then?
So now we're going to figure out how can we connect the Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail with the correct webinar. So we need to do it from, so I guess it's on Crowdcast webinar, and on Crowdcast webinar we have the we have the URL, and then we use that URL in our Crowdcast ID. So if we call this Crowdcast URL instead, then we should be able to do from URL to Crowdcast URL.
So Tubby is going to date a webinar? That's weird.
But
That's
it's actually more so in this case it's actually like a parent child situation because all webinars will have a tubby thumbnail child. But for some cases, one thumbnail might be used on several webinars or several other nodes. If it was like a general image, you could be using that image could be connected to several nodes. Yeah.
so it's like a play date.
Yes. So we could also have connected these together through like a parent child situation. So here we say parent node, but we don't explicitly make a connection in the graphical kind of schema world. So there are several ways of doing this, but this is the way we've been doing it. So we say that we're going to match. It's more of a matching. We're going to match them by seeing that, okay, Crowdcast webinar, if take the URL, the value in the URL of Crowdcast webinar, and find the tubby thumbnail that has that same value in their Crowdcast URL, and then link them together.
So we're going to match up Tubby with somebody who has the same value. Has one of the same values. So it's a value-based matching system here. It's very good. It's very good.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is not the correct way of writing it.
No.
So I'm gonna find our YouTube code and take it
on the YouTube. We had the same on the from and the by.
Yes. We did. That makes it a little bit easier, of course, but let's not do that now, because then we would have to change our... let me see how we're supposed to write this. Oh, so it's supposed to be inside of string. So link from URL to Crowdcast URL.
Oh, that was a lot of white light.
Yeah, we're coming up on the hour, but I think we'll soon be done.
There was something I was going to tell you about later. Yes, Mike Gaultier's security webinar.
Yes, I watched it.
We watched it. Yeah, it was great.
It was the OWASP top 10, which I remember he brings up every time. So I gathered that is very important. And then there was a little bit of a talk about, anything can be hacked.
Yes. Did he give like a reason, or because I was out bicycling with the Pirate Princess? Did he give like a reason why anything could be hacked?
Oh, but see, now we have 2 all Crowdcast webinar.
That's weird.
Oh, that's because I've spelled one of them wrong. Look at that. We have Crowdcast.
Oh wow, that is groovy. The Crowcast.
Yeah,
that is groovy.
Oh my god, we have to build again. But I'll try to explain what we're doing, because now we have the webinars. We have the webinars.
Yeah.
Oh, but of course it's not going to build because, it's still building. But we have the webinars, and we can get the cover kind of source, and we can get the title, and we can get the URL. And then we have all of these tubby thumbnails that have all of kind of our Gatsby image information. Gatsby image. But we don't have to want to do in every page or everything we're going to make. We don't have to be querying from the Crowdcast webinar, then find the cover source, for instance, and then use that cover source to find the correct tubby thumbnail to get the Gatsby images. We want to be able to query that Gatsby image straight on the Crowdcast webinar. And that is what we're doing now by saying we want this Gatsby image, all of that information, we want that to show up on a thumbnail field, and we want that thumbnail field then to go looking for a tubby thumbnail, and put the correct tubby thumbnail onto that thumbnail field. So we can query it right here. So let's see if this works now. So we need a width here to get. Oh, it won't work because we don't have Gatsby Sharp and stuff. So let's just do the file name then. Okay, so I have the Crowdcast webinars, and then we have the file names, and in some way we need to match these up. So let's see if we now have a thumbnail on here. And now we should have a thumbnail. But we don't, because maybe I matched them wrong. So that's on this one. No, here's our thumbnail.
Yes.
So if we do file name, we should now have a file name, and we have a correct file name.
With the
and
PNG.
What we did is that we said, go look for the, and it could be anything. Like it could maybe have been smarter here to match them up on cover source, but we didn't save that. But it doesn't have, as long as it's unique, you can then go and say, okay, I want to create this thumbnail field, and I want it to be created by looking at the URL of our webinar, and you're going to take that value and you're going to go through all of our Crowdcast Tubby thumbnails and find the one that has the same value inside of Crowdcast URL. And that is how it populates the thumbnail field on the webinar node. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So that's what we're doing there. And then I guess we need to install Sharp and everything to make this work properly.
So are we dating it? Is Tubby dating somebody now, or what happened with the dating?
Yes. So since this is since all webinars have a single Crowdcast thumbnail, now every Crowdcast webinar is matched up with a Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail.
Yes. So it's not, but it must be dating because it's DCDN, you know? You can't have CMN. That's like something else. I don't even know what it is. Okay.
Yeah, but then the fun thing is that, you know, if there was different data we sourced, if we sourced, do I have an example? Let's see, we sourced information about houses and information about people, and then every person lives in a house. Then we could also make this kind of match where we say, look at, you know, on our house nodes, and then populate the field occupants and find all of the people that match kind of the same house, and then put that on and populate that field. So it's not always one-on-one. Like you can connect nodes in all kinds of manners. It could be a list, but in our case, it's a thumbnail, so it's only going to be one. But it could be a gallery. It could be maybe all of the images that are tagged with some tag or something like that. So it's polydating, I guess.
But it's not very morally advisable. But Tubby could actually date several webinars. That's what you're saying.
And for instance, you know, for all of our future YouTube videos, we only have one thumbnail, so that thumbnail is shared by all of the future videos.
Yes, that's a great example.
Okay, so did you have instructions for adding Sharp?
So I have this.
Yes.
It's very incomplete.
Okay.
I just start out and then I ran out of time.
Okay.
Because I spent way too much time on the other stuff over. Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. I like doing the little puzzles.
Yes. Yes.
So let's add all of these and let's see if we can make it work. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm installing all of the Gatsby kind of image related plugins. so that if we now do Gatsby develop, we should get all of that. I don't think we're going to show it. We're not going to use the Gatsby image component. We can do that next week, but we should
Yes.
now be able to, oh, we need to do a yarn clean, I think. We should be able to see the actual image data coming back. No, something is wrong. Remark. But why? Oh,
yeah, I get that.
Why do I need to install it? I'm not using Remark.
Don't install it then. Sorry about that. That's my bad. Remark? It's not even.
I don't understand what happened.
I didn't have it.
No,
no, I got that. I got that error
doing,
some other time. With
yeah,
image
we're doing
CDN.
image, sharp, and sharp. Oh, but we added Gatsby file system. We're not using Gatsby file system.
Well, I say we stop here, and because we're going to work on this.
Well, I know, but I can't just stop. I don't like errors like that. I don't like errors like that.
Okay. I'm going to check on the princess.
Let's try again.
I'll mute my.
Why are we getting... Gatsby transformer remark. What are you doing in here? What are you doing in here? Oh, it's in our lock. So let's remove you because we are not doing MD files in this project. Okay. I don't know what's up. Why are we seeing Gatsby image remark? Let's do a little search for remark. Yarn lock. Gatsby remark. Cannot create of undefined. I don't understand this. Gatsby, is it in my theme, Queen theme? Oh, it might be in my Queen theme that I'm using it. But it shouldn't throw an error. Let's see without. Then I need to fix that then if that's the reason. So develop.
The princess forgot to eat her food.
Oh. I think that I'm doing some remark stuff inside of my theme.
Yeah.
So I just uninstalled the theme, and then I'll have to fix that before next week's when we're going to show how to use this. But
yes,
now we are building so we can wrap up correctly.
Yes.
Yes.
Og så tørker du etterpå.
I'm gonna mute you.
Okay. Og så tørker du etterpå.
Okay, so let's have a look now in our graphicule to see in our Explorer to see what is up. Am I still... Did I refresh? No.
I thought maybe. I'm back.
Okay, so instead of having to, query both of these nodes, we can do like you expect. You can go to all Crowdcast webinar. You can go hit the thumbnail, and then the thumbnail will have a Gatsby image.
Okay. Kan finne den.
There will be a Gatsby image, and then we can do a
Gå dit jeg kan ha det på
width.
her. Skal du ikke sitte når du spiser?
And here we go. Now,
Yeah.
if we check
Yes.
out one of these images, it should be, but they, yeah. One of these images, they should be smaller than the one that we have created. So we say 200 max instead of getting back then the image from Crowdcast would be, 1200 width.
Why did you do that?
Do Gatsby image width 200 and it gives you back a source set of why I did that?
Yeah.
Oh, just to show that we now have thumbnail is a proper Gatsby image.
No, why did you do 200?
I don't know. It was just an example.
Okay.
I could do 666 if you wanted
No,
to.
no, don't do that. That's bad.
And then you can see that we have all of the other data that a remote file
Yes.
Type should have. So we don't really need to type out everything here. We only need to type out what is special for our case, and that would be Crowdcast URL.
Yes.
And it should be of type string, I guess. And it should be
yes. Exclamation.
Exclamation means that it has to have a value.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we could also go ahead and say that, okay, Crowdcast webinar, we can go and say it should have a title. What is everything that we put in here? It's got a title, a URL, a cover source, a raw scrape. And if we do that, if there are no webinars being sourced, then Gatsby can't look at the data and kind of infer how these nodes look like. But if we give it all the information, if it turns out that there are no webinars being sourced, our graphical queries won't fail because it will kind of know what to expect, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we can do cover source. And all of these should be string. And then string. I'm not going to do them all, but you get the gist.
Yes.
We can tell Gatsby how this node is going to look, so that if something fails with our ScrapingBee request and we are not getting all this data back, at least kind of Gatsby will try to fill in the blanks for us. Or not fill in the blanks, but it will know what it was supposed to get or how it was supposed to look. Okay.
That is great. That is great. That is great.
I'm going to remove that from now.
I'm getting the sunshine into my window now. That's very nice.
That is nice.
Yes,
that is
you
nice.
Can see it. You can see it here on my teeth.
Ooh. Okay, do you want me to do a summary?
Yes. You must go into the you must click them all out. No, I didn't.
I don't think we did all. Like we kind of stopped at some point here.
But all the way to the bottom, they're all the way down. Yeah, there you're almost down. All the way down. There they are.
Okay.
There they all are.
Yes. So today we added thumbnail support to the web scraping demo from last week. We wanted to scrape all of the webinars from my Crowdcast profile because they don't have an official API. So last week we managed to scrape all of the titles and then the links to the event pages. But today we wanted to also grab these thumbnails. And the thumbnails were kind of hard to get. I did a little prep work because we had to go inside of a hero div and then grab the URL for the thumbnail inside of that string. So we did a little bit of regex magic, or I did a little bit of regex magic in preparation for this. But once we had the string, we could add support for the Gatsby image CDN. And we would want to do that because we want to source all these images kind of into our build at build time, so that if Crowdcast removes any of these images, our images will still be there. So we added support for Gatsby image CDN today, and then next week we're going to download them locally. But how did we add support for Gatsby image CDN? We did that by creating a Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail node for each Crowdcast webinar. So we use the lifecycle method on create node, which is called every time a node is created, even the Tubby thumbnail nodes, but it's created on every time a node is created. So we filter and we say, okay, we only want to do this kind of work if the node is a Crowdcast webinar. And if it is a Crowdcast webinar, we create a new node, and it has a bunch of information about our thumbnail. It tells us, what's the URL for the thumbnail, what's the height and the width of the original thumbnail. We also give it the parent node. We give it a parent, which is the webinar. I don't think it's actually required, but it's always nice to put the parent in there if there's only one parent. We create a node ID using something unique in our world or in Crowdcast world. So we're using the cover source, the actual URL for the image. And then we also add in a little bit of data so that we can later match up our webinar and our Crowdcast thumbnail. And all of this is to conform to what is called a remote file interface. And by doing these two things, Gatsby will do a bunch of magic under the hood so that we can use, Gatsby transformation. We can decide on the width and the height. We can do cutouts. We can do different kinds of things with our images. All of the stuff that from working with local images, we can now do that, but with remote images, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
And last but not least, we then match up these two things, the webinars and the thumbnails, because if we were just sourcing images nilly-willy, we wouldn't have to connect them to something. But in our use case, we will often want to, grab a webinar, and then we want to get the thumbnail right there in the same query. So we match it up and we look for a webinar, or we look at all the webinars and we look at their URL value, and then we match it up with the Tubby thumbnail that has that same value inside of the Crowdcast URL. And when we do that, we can then grab on the thumbnail is populated with the Tubby thumbnail data. So this one kind of, if we go over here, the thumbnail here, it's the same as if we had queried all Crowdcast Tubby thumbnail for that specific node. It's the same kind of, you can see it's the exact same fields, and everything that we have here is what we now find on thumbnails. So it's actually a kind of a convenience method so that we can more easily grab that image when we are working in our front end.
Yes. Great.
Mm-hmm. And we did that by following Ola's little puzzle. So now I might even remember how I'm going to do this for the next time instead of just copy pasting.
I have two now. Now I have one for YouTube and one for Crowdcasts. So what should be the next?
I don't know. Maybe create a remote file node, which we're doing next week.
Are we doing that with image CDN too?
No, so that would be instead of image CDN. So if at this point this is not a plugin,
But
so
that
we
was my
don't
question, because this is image CDN and I did it with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next thing to do image CDN on?
Oh, the next thing to do image CDN on.
Yes.
I don't know.
Because it was a lot easier to do it again now.
Yeah.
The Pirate Princess says she wants ice cream.
Ice cream. Where did the ice cream come from?
Image CDN, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we have any. I don't think we have any use cases right now where we need to add image CDN. But if you need to add image CDN, we can help you out.
Yes, tell me, and maybe I'll put it into my little book. My book,
Oh.
my plug-in book. Look, I get the light in my eye now.
But as I realized that if we're making a plugin out of this, or for a YouTube plugin, we cannot assume that people are using Gatsby Image CDN. So we need to give them the possibility to download the files locally and use all of the Gatsby Image goodness like they're used to. Or if they decide to host us somewhere that supports Gatsby Image CDN, then they can decide to use that way of doing it. And the benefits of doing that is that everything will be much faster because you are not doing like a million different sizes and stuff on build time. You're doing it, they're taking all the images externally and putting them on their server, but then they're doing all the transformations when you're asking for the image. I think I need to look into exactly how they're doing it. But anywho, for a
it's very
plugin,
good.
yes, for a plugin, we would need to do both. So what I think I might do is I might make this demo into a Crowdcast sourcing plugin, and then we'll
Yes.
add support for both next week.
Yes.
Yes.
You will not do the plugin thing next week, but you will add the remote file thing.
I might make it a plugin before next week and then just
Yes.
do the remote file plugin next week. Yeah. Or maybe we
Great.
should make it a plugin next week and then add the create remote file the week after. And Inessa is here. Hello. I got to test out Ula's little puzzles today that I've heard that you have gotten as well. We can't hear you, Ula.
I don't know why. Yes, I remember why I muted myself. Yeah, I'll put Inessa back up. Hello, Inessa. Yes, I sent it to Inessa, the book, the plugin workbook, the first chapter, which is image CDN, and then he had a question back for me, and I should read it out like word for word because it's a very good question. Let me see here. Where are you, Inessa? It's here. Is this geared towards beginners or those experienced in Gatsby? And then I answered, I'm trying to hit both. But a couple of days later, I woke up in the morning and I was like, no, I should try to do it for both. I should choose, of course. So I made a choice. And then this one is for experienced Gatsby users. So yeah, great feedback.
Cool. Thank you for helping out, Inessa, and
Yes.
being active.
Yes, thank you. And then so I'll. But now I have to rework the YouTube thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for experienced. Yes. Oh, look at this! I'm getting praise.
Yay!
Enjoyed reading it. Yes, thank you, Inessa. Thank you.
I had a lot of fun doing the puzzles as well. So I think this is going to be a great collab because I will do more of the, I guess, theoretical side of things and like
Yes.
regular book, and then Ola will make exercises and puzzles that people can do to practice their learnings. Yes. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the plan? We're making it up as we go along. Yes.
It is exercises and puzzles and yeah.
And because we read writing useful books, I guess it's called, and we want to test early and often. Wasn't that what he said?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He said build it like you would do with building software.
Yeah. So you missed it, Inessa, but you might know it by now, but we added Gatsby Image CDN support to a demo that I created where we scrape the web for Crowdcast webinars because they don't have an API. And if you missed last week, that was a lot of fun with Pierre showing us how to do web scraping using ScrapingBee. And we just kind of continued on. And I think we're going to make it into a little plugin. There might be other people who want to source their webinars. You know.
Yes. But should I call over the Pirate Princess now?
Yes, I think so. I think I'm done for the day. We'll see if she wants to.
She says no.
But she always wants. So the funny thing is that if she doesn't get included in the beginning and the end, she gets really mad. But sometimes when when we're supposed to do it, she doesn't want to do it because it's the wrong time because she, is working on her project. But if she doesn't join us, then she gets mad. So okay. I'm gonna make you beg. Skal du være med, Lillian?
Vil du ikke spille? Du trenger ikke å spille, jeg kan spille.
Det er helt greit det, Lillian.
Ok. Men du må ikke bråke mens jeg synger da. 1, 2, 3. Ok. Ser du sola skinner? Oi, sola skinner.
Kan jeg gå?
Ja, du kan det. Og så må du komme når jeg er ferdig med å synge, så kommer du og blåser igjen, ok?
Ok, skal vi holde den?
Ja, du kan det. This has been another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters round the Gatsby Islands with Queen Raae. I'm your host, Captain Olavia, and the pirate princess just left us. Next time we'll do remote file. Na, 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 goodbye. Oh, in this it says ha det, which means goodbye. Ok, du må komme og blåse igjen, Lillian. Du må ikke.
Jo, jeg må blåse.
Ha det means goodbye.